A royal masterpiece, Princess Leonor Denmark wedding becomes 2025's defining luxury trend. It was expected to be royal, refined, and traditional. But what unfolded in Copenhagen on that crisp April morning went far beyond anything Europe had ever seen. Because Princess Leonor of Spain didn't just get married, she created a masterpiece, one that redefined what luxury, love, and legacy mean in the modern royal world. Spain held its breath. Denmark prepared its palace. And the world watched, not realizing it was about to witness the birth of a new royal standard, one built on elegance, authenticity, and cultural rebirth. This wasn't just a royal wedding. It was a living, breathing work of art. Leonor's wedding didn't merely showcase fashion or ceremony, it became a statement. A defining moment that captured the soul of Europe in 2025, where tradition met innovation, and monarchy met modern love. The story of this wedding begins long before the dress, before the vows, before the first wave of royal carriages lined the cobblestones of Copenhagen. It begins with a young woman who was never meant to blend in, a princess raised not for extravagance, but for meaning. For months, Spain buzzed with anticipation. Every royal watcher, every designer, every cultural critic wondered, what kind of wedding would Leonor, the heir to the Spanish throne, create in Denmark, one of Europe's most progressive monarchies? Would she lean into opulence? Or rewrite the meaning of royal grace? When that day finally came, the answer was clear. The palace bells rang through the crisp morning air. Crowds filled the streets, a sea of red and yellow Spanish flags mixing with Denmark's white and red. The scent of fresh tulips lined the royal avenue as carriages gleamed beneath the northern sun. Cameras flashed, journalists whispered, and yet, in the midst of all that grandeur, the moment Leonor appeared, everything fell silent. Her gown wasn't loud. It didn't shimmer in excess or scream for attention. It glowed, subtly, powerfully, authentically. Designed by Spanish couturier Alejandro Gomez, the gown was handcrafted over 6 months by a team of 30 artisans. Made from sustainable ivory silk woven in Valencia, the dress fused Spanish history with modern artistry. The sleeves carried intricate lace inspired by Queen Victoria Eugenie's 1906 wedding gown, yet the silhouette was distinctly 21st century, minimal, structured, architectural. What truly captivated the world was not its luxury, but its meaning. Every stitch told a story, a whisper from Spain's royal past, blended with Leonor's forward-looking spirit. The train, 12 feet long, represented the lineage of Spanish queens before her. The subtle embroidery on the bodice mirrored olive branches and stars, peace and hope. As Leonor stepped from her carriage onto the marble steps of Christiansborg Palace, the hush that fell over the crowd was unlike any royal silence before. It was reverent, as if the world collectively understood they were witnessing something greater than beauty. And then came the veil. Crafted from 100-year-old Spanish lace, it had been restored by royal artisans. But at the hem, delicately hand-stitched, were symbols of both nations, the Spanish royal crest and Denmark's national flower, the marguerite. A perfect metaphor, 2 kingdoms, 2 hearts, stitched together. Prince Christian of Denmark, waiting at the altar, could barely hide his awe. His uniform, traditional Danish navy with silver accents, seemed almost designed to complement her presence. When their eyes met, that simple exchange, quiet, emotional, unscripted, told the story of 2 young royals balancing destiny with genuine love. And when the music began, not the expected royal march, but a soft fusion of Spanish guitar and Danish strings, it was clear, this wedding was rewriting history. The vows themselves created another unforgettable moment. Delivered in both Spanish and Danish, they spoke of unity, responsibility, and hope. Leonor's voice trembled slightly as she said, "Our nations meet in us, in our promise to serve, to cherish, and to grow." Those words, broadcast live across Europe, instantly became iconic. Within hours, Leonor's vow trended across every platform. In Madrid, families gathered in plazas, some crying, some cheering. In Copenhagen, citizens waved both nations' flags together. And for the first time in years, European media headlines weren't about politics or crisis, but about love, art, and renewal. After the ceremony, the couple emerged into the sunlight as bells pealed across Copenhagen. Rose petals floated through the air, the sound of cheers echoing through the square. Their carriage procession through the city drew millions of viewers online, each frame perfectly cinematic: the Danish rooftops, the Spanish flags, the couple smiling, waving, radiant. But it wasn't the spectacle that defined the moment. It was the message. Leonor had quietly redefined what royal luxury meant in 2025. It wasn't about diamonds or gold, it was about depth. Every detail of her wedding celebrated heritage while embracing the future. Even the reception at Amalienborg Palace told a story. Instead of extravagant displays, the theme was legacy in light. Tables were adorned with crystal candle holders from Madrid and minimalist Danish ceramics. The floral arrangements, white roses and olive branches, represented purity and peace. The menu fused Spanish passion with Danish precision: olive oil drizzled seafood paired with Nordic herbs, Catalonian wines alongside Copenhagen's finest desserts. Every bite, every detail, was crafted to symbolize unity. As night fell, the first dance took everyone's breath away. To a modern orchestral rendition of a Spanish ballad, Leonor and Christian moved like poetry, elegant yet unrestrained, royal yet real. They laughed mid-step, whispered to each other, and shared the kind of joy that made centuries of royal expectations seem suddenly human. The moment they twirled beneath the crystal chandeliers, the world saw something new: the blending of legacy and modern love in perfect harmony. Fashion critics wasted no time calling it the Leonor era. European designers spoke of her minimalist grandeur as a new benchmark for luxury, one that values craftsmanship, storytelling, and emotion over extravagance. Parisian magazines labeled it quiet royal power. Vogue simply called her gown the dress that defined 2025. But the true masterpiece of the event wasn't the gown. It was the feeling. Because in a world obsessed with speed, excess, and spectacle, Princess Leonor reminded us that true luxury is timelessness. Its purpose. It's the grace to be modern without forgetting where you come from. Spain's monarchy, once questioned, found renewed pride in her. Denmark, too, celebrated her humility and poise. Across Europe, young women saw a new kind of princess, one whose elegance wasn't inherited, but earned through authenticity and heart. Even the morning after, as the newlyweds were photographed leaving the palace for a private retreat, Leonor's effortless glow continued to inspire headlines. She wore a simple white wrap dress and low heels, her hair loosely tied. No jewels, no entourage. Just a smile. And yet that image, stripped of all grandeur, became the most shared photo of the entire event. Because it wasn't just beautiful. It was real. That is the secret of Leonor's royal masterpiece. It wasn't only about aesthetics. It was about evolution. About showing that luxury in 2025 isn't about how much you display, but how deeply you connect with history, with people, and with love itself. Weeks later, luxury houses from London to Milan launched bridal lines inspired by her. Magazines declared the Leonor look as the next big European fashion shift: natural fabrics, emotional storytelling, ethical craftsmanship. Even Hollywood stylists began referencing her simplicity as the gold standard for elegance. But perhaps the most powerful reaction came from the Spanish public. The pride, the unity, the emotion. After years of change and challenges, Princess Leonor's wedding became a national symbol of hope, of Spain's return to grace through the eyes of its future queen. When the fireworks exploded over Copenhagen that night, soft gold and white lights reflected in the royal palace windows, the crowd below erupted in cheers. And there she was, hand in hand with her husband, waving from the balcony, tears in her eyes, smile unguarded. That image alone said everything: the end of an old era and the beginning of something entirely new. Princess Leonor didn't just wear luxury. She defined it, not as opulence, but as meaning. Not as excess, but as emotion. Her Denmark wedding became more than a royal milestone. It became the template for Europe's next decade of elegance. A perfect union of past and present. A masterpiece not built of jewels and silk, but of symbolism, love, and renewal. And as 2025 unfolds, the ripple effect continues, from fashion houses to royal households, from Copenhagen to Madrid, from tradition to transformation. Because when Princess Leonor of Spain walked down that aisle, she didn't just marry a prince. She married history, and forever changed the meaning of royal luxury. A royal masterpiece, indeed, one that will define this generation.